May not be a rant view, but I don't much care for the dot hack music, honestly. So you're getting the dark playlist this time. We're gonna put some variety on it though. Oh, okay, it's already on shuffle. Got it. Okay. So yeah, as you can tell, I've decided we're going to do separate rating videos for the different volumes of .hack GU. Simply put. So, Volume 1 of .hack GU took me 6 sessions to do. No cheats, heats in Chaos and Thoraxor. Were the ones. I don't count testing out cheat mode as using cheats, by the way, as the main playthrough did not use cheats. No, usually when I say, testing purposes, we go ahead and we, just use them in general. But I digress. Anywho, -5 to story, -10 to gameplay. I hated this one, which is hilarious, as you'll learn in GU Volume 2. Because holy crap, I'm actually recording this pretty late. So yeah, I'm well into Volume 2 by now. I have done 5 sessions of Volume 2 so far. I don't know if Volume 6 is going to be the last. Could very well be, but we'll see. There is some good here, so let's talk about the good. Let's get on with it. So, voice acting. It is very much a typical 2000s voice cast for an English dub. Yuri Lowenthal's in this. Johnny on Bosch is in this. Steve Bloom's in this. Crispin Freeman's in this. I could honestly go down the whole list, right? Dave Wittenberg's here, Sam Riegel's here. I could honestly keep going through the list, but I think you get the point. Hell, even Liam O'Brien is here. But yeah, but the voice acting in general was actually pretty good. When it came to the brickwork of the actual game itself, in terms of telling the story of the in-game, of the in-universe MMO, the brickwork was actually pretty good. Music direction worked. I liked their use of Limblom effect. The world has lots of players coming and going, and the forums do help give reality a lived-in feel as well. So, there you go. And then when it comes to telling the story of the world, the visual continuity is on point. The rest of the time, with say, Ida and shit, not so much. My opinion. However, what really impressed the shit out of me, and what made the net negative score be merely a net -5, was the background lore. Courtesy of the news sites, the forums, and the news sites and the forums. So the background lore itself, in general, triple positive, and then in specific, I gave a triple positive to the official site on the World login. That was really cool. And then I gave a positive to the community, to the news capture thing, which was really good. Then there were individual forums that I actually really liked, such as the community forum Need a New Microchip, which is just a hauntingly realistic discussion on what at the time was a real discussion people were having in the 2000s, specifically about whether or not they should put microchips in their kids. This is close enough. My opinion. Then there was Knocked Out in an Online Game, which was yet another fascinating bit of world building, in my opinion. Then there was the Fear We Carry, which was an oddly prophetic thingy. That was all about, are we relying too much on technology kind of thing. So, that was all cool. Hiseo was simultaneously a positive and a negative, and he was the only character I felt was positive worthy. Everybody else was either wash or, or was not that great. We'll get to it in the negatives. That's it. That's 17 presentation and character positives. Pretty bad, honestly. From me? Oh, that's fucking terrible. Now let's get into some moment positives, shall we? Eoten and Asta betraying Hiseo right when he logs in. Nice setup for him becoming the Terror of Death. Speaking of, I like the first scene where he is the Terror of Death after the 8-month time skip. I really like the contrast of how much he has hardened over the 8 months, which is not helped by the fact that he literally gained and lost a girlfriend in that amount of time. So, there's that. Then there's Hiseo getting curb stomped by Tri-Edge. That is a fantastic villain establishment, because we saw how much more powerful Hiseo was than he was previous when he, took out Bordeaux, aka the bitch who is a complete fucking waste of Mary Elizabeth McGlynn's talents. Huh, I feel like I've said that before somewhere. Anyways. That whole scene with him getting curb stomped by Tri-Edge was actually kind of great at establishing the threat that Tri-Edge represents. So that was cool. Good setup for it too, while we're on the subject. Then the story had no other positives until we got to Hiseo being a vendor. That was actually kind of awesome. Awesome, and shows that there's actual layers and depth to Hiseo, which showed that, he could actually get better. Which is hilarious, because Hiseo actually does pull an agate. Kind of. Then there's the second encounter with Bo of the Sakubo. They haven't my chat keeps saying that it's a split personality. We actually haven't seen it be a split personality. We've seen a hint of it in Volume 2, but that's about it. But yeah. The second encounter with Bo specifically was actually kind of great. Hey, it was a nice follow-up to, to Hiseo playing Vendor, because Hiseo plays Vendor, is nice to Bo, and then the follow-up scene when Bo thanks Hiseo again works, which is actually kind of awesome. That was kind of great. Then there's Hiseo's outburst on Adelie. This is where he says, "God, you're annoying. Never show your face again." It's understandable, because we are shown that, Hiseo's suffering from some PTSD, and that's kind of the arc he's on. I don't think Volume 1 specifically executes that arc very well at all, but it's, that's a good scene. I like meeting Gabby. I like the scene where we meet Gabby once he starts showing his real self, and not the dipshit PKing is part of the game bullshit that he portrays these elsewise. The second episode of Online Jack is just as good as it is bad. I'm pretty sure this was a positive and negative scenario. As the hard left turned into dark is effective, despite the first 2/3 is having issues. I'm not a fan of Online Jack, just to be blunt. Now, as much as I feel like it could have used more foreshadowing, the whole reveal about Endrance's connection to Ida is actually a great reveal and is honestly one of the better scenes in the game. It does tie everything together, including why Ida hasn't been running more rampant. Yes, I was bitching during all that, but credit where it's due, I gave that whole reveal a triple positive. And then the final positive I gave was for Online Jack Episode 3. Despite Ihara being, well, Ihara, it actually was a good showcase that the story in the world is affecting reality. That's the one where they discover the kid and he's mumbling Sakaki. Well, Ada is plastered. The word Ida is plastered all over his monitor. 29 positives. Not great. Now let's get into the negatives. We got 34 to get through. Voice direction, triple negative. God damn it. The voice direction is much better in Volume 2. Holy shit. I'm going to go ahead and be honest about it. But in terms of Volume 1, not so much. And I forgot I added Death Note music to this playlist. That's actually kind of funny. Then I also had issues with the localization. It's more translation than localization, which is unacceptable at this point in gaming, as Final Fantasy IX already set the bar for localizations. This game also doesn't have the lip flap excuse of something like, say, Final Fantasy X either, because that was actually one of the biggest problems with Final Fantasy X's everything in terms of its cutscenes. Was the characters were flapping their gums, and because the localization was screwing up, but I'm a little more willing to forgive Final Fantasy X for that, even though it looks just fucking hideous and it takes me out of it every goddamn time. But here, yeah, the localization really doesn't have an excuse. It doesn't feel like it's translating it into a way we can understand. It just feels like it's just keeping the flowery language from the Japanese version without, well, translating it into something that would be more appropriate. The pacing was a triple negative. I hate the pacing of Volume 1. Which is ironic because the pacing of Volume 2 is actually a lot better. Holy shit. Right? Because in this one, it really feels like the plot goes absolutely nowhere for fucking hours. And it sucks. I could have been a lot harsher on this. Let's be real. But there were only really 2 triple negatives that I gave in regards to this. The pacing and the story sequencing, which I honestly feel is just downright awful, especially during the tournament arc. So that was a triple negative. So yeah, that's 10 presentation negatives. Then there was the whole, okay, no, that's not 10, sorry, excuse me, there's 12, because then there's the whole butt rice gang. That's the Ohm rice, at least with the symbol rice, in the forums. Hated that. And it got old after a while. I'll rant about this in Volume 2, but this is still fiction. And then I also gave a negative to the dialogue in this game, because it's nowhere near as bad as some games I could name, but wow, is the dialogue overly flowery for my liking. So 12 presentation negatives. I only gave 3 character negatives this time around. Haseo, as I said, he's a positive and a negative. I like that he's an actual character, but I hate that part of his character is the edgelord asshole. The Sasuke Uchiha, effectively. He was starting to channel... Haseo channels Sasuke Uchiha in a lot of his scenes, specifically in Volume 1. In Volume 2, That shit is so far removed from his character, it's not even fucking funny. And I mean that sincerely. In Volume 1, it felt like he was just playing Sasuke Uchiha again. Yuri Lowenthal was just playing Sasuke again. In Volume 2, he's actually playing Haseo. Make of that what you will. Then there's Gaspard, who's realistic when you know about his real-life self, but when you don't, he comes across as a whiny brat, and it got to be too much. That's as far as the negative, me being negative on Gaspard goes, with like one exception, and that's it. With like two exceptions further down, and that's it. You know, I didn't like Gaspard, but I also wasn't ranting every 5 fucking minutes, which led to a bit in near the end of the game where I was like, they were like, "Oh, don't bitch out Gaspard, who's coming up to speak to Haseo, who's just coming to say congrats to Haseo." Look, I may give negatives, but like, it was only one. Like, what the hell, you know? And then there's Death Grunty, which is your guild's Grunty mascot. Yeah, that arrogant dipshit can fuck off. Which is funny because he's not actually anything other than just a interface. It's for your guild, for your at-home features. So, yeah, that's a negative that Volume 2's not getting. So that's it. So then we get into other stuff, such as the forum thread, please read Rumor Board. I hated that one because it was basically a glorified rules list, which was just a actual forum post. We can't post to the forums. That's fucking useless to the player. Why am I seeing it? Then there's the first episode of Online Jack. It's bad. It reminds me of assholic online journalists who have no sense of decency and who will be assholes for clicks. It's realistic, but as I've said a million times before, deliberately annoying is still annoying. Oh, and I should also mention I gave Ihara a negative as well, because he was just way too annoying for me. I just put his negative in a bad spot. Caspard and Syllabus' condescension during what I consider the intro portion, which I chop off right after the Gaspard and Syllabus tutorial dungeon stuff. Yeah, I hated it. Speaking of here's the bit of the intro that pissed me off the absolute fucking most. So, Haseo does not know about Awakening, because he's never used it before, / it only showed up within the past couple of months or whatever. And that means, see, I knew you were a noob. Yeah, no, fuck that. There are times where you can go through entire playthroughs without knowing something, but that does not mean you're a noob. I hate the condescension to it, and that scene really pissed me off. And fun fact, that's actually one of the contributions to why I put Volume 1 down originally and never even touched the rest of the trilogy. I mean that sincerely. Really. So, thanks for fucking that up, Gaspard, you fucking prick. He gets better after that, but still. That is my introduction to Gaspard. Are you fucking kidding me? Then there's the intro in general, which is basically everything up to the end of that dungeon. So, it's pretty bad. It shifts from intriguing to face-palmingly stupid, and the shift is just so fucking jarring. Alright. It also fails to explain anything, preferring to leave everything a mystery. It's one of those raise all of the question type of intros, which honestly, if you saw me tackle Final Fantasy 13, you know I kind of hate that crap. There's one thing for having an intro where you hint that there are greater mysteries, but you have to give me some meat to chew on, otherwise I'm going to tell you to fuck off. Especially when it comes to teen Alex. You gotta hook him pretty fucking early, otherwise he's going to put your game down and tell you to go fuck yourself. Honestly, the only thing that keeps this from being a triple neg is the first half being as awesome as it is, but the second half, when Syllabus and Gaspar join you, it's just fuck off. Hence the negative. Hence the single negative. The negative I would have given this a triple negative had the whole Terror of Death, Tri-Edge stuff all not been right there in the intro. You know? Which then would have been the big explanation of, oh, that's why you didn't stick with it, because it left such a sour taste in your mouth. And that is what it is. Then there's the scene where Haseo meeting with Yada for the first time, which is complicated. On the one hand, it is paced well, but on the other hand, it over-explains its point. And is a chore to get through, especially with Haseo being an unattentive dick through half of it. And being a Metal Gear Solid protagonist, I guess, for the other half of it. Then there's the section where Haseo fails to summon his avatar, which is frankly pointless, as we literally had a breather right before that with the whole shop stuff, which was actually good. Then there's the grunty fetch quest for becoming Kennard's guildmaster. Like, from a story perspective, that was just boring padding at that point. It wasn't even bad from a gameplay perspective. It was just kind of crap, and was the third padding story beat in a row, which was just like, are you kidding me? Ugh. And here's episode 2 of Online Jack. As I said, up in the positives, the positive is for the final third, but the rest of it is just as bad as episode 1, in my opinion. Then, no more story points were given until we got to Skaith versus Magus. I hated this. So, Haseo finally summons his avatar. Yes, I finally have power. And Kun gets royally pissy at him because he used it on Bordeaux. I'm sorry, Kun, when the fuck did you explain in the whole they could become Lost Ones thing into Haseo again? Oh, that's right, you never fucking did. It could have been done. It could have been done in a number of different ways, but no. Instead, let's have Kun be an asshole and force the issue. Also, fuck that whole be prepared to lose something drivel. It's one thing and that's mostly because the whole idea is supposed to be you're supposed to get stronger to protect something important to you. Like, I get the point that the point is supposed to be that Haseo has plenty to lose, but I gotta be honest with you, Volume 2 teaches Haseo that lesson 40 bajillion times better than Volume 1 did. And that is not a joke. That is a statement of fact, in my opinion. Well, I guess I shouldn't call it fact, but like, in my opinion, Volume 2 just does such a better job. Because it actually cares, you know? It's one thing to smack Haseo with reality, but frankly, Kun could have done the same thing outside of the arena. Instead, no, the narrative is slanted to make him seem like an asshole. So, no. No, that was a full 3 negatives for me. Then there was the tournament in general, which I decided to give the entire tournament arc a negative, because basically right up until right up until Haseo had to lose to Alcade, start losing to Alcade out of frickin' nowhere. Like, basically, Haseo starts losing to Alcade because the plot demands it. So Skaith is summoned just because the plot demands it, ends it. And it kind of pissed me off, because a lot of Skaith's summoning during the tournament arc was because plot, more than anything. Now, I love this statement. I actually mentioned it in my during my Volume 2 streams. Because I basically said, look, when the game stops punching me in the balls, I'll stop bitching. Till then, fuck off, game. And then Volume 2 came around and actually treated me like I had a brain. Go figure. Triple negative for the tournament arc. And finally, that cliffhanger ending. Oh, God. We literally end with Adelie getting attacked by Ida, and I'm just like, you didn't earn that game. I don't give a fuck about Adelie in Volume 1. I don't give a fuck about Haseo in Volume 1. I don't give a fuck about Volume 1 in general. Now let's move on to gameplay, which was a net negative 10. Here we go. So, this one is specific to the HD version, but I frickin' love cheat mode. It is a triple positive. It's actually awesome. The save file labeling, minimap, the map and minimap, HUD, all good stuff. Demon Awakening, that was a good awakening attack. I love the fact that you gain access to new areas for reading the forums and emails. That's actually good stuff, which continues into Volume 2, by the way. Info game was worth 2 positives. The LAI was actually surprisingly good, as they would go off and kick Chim Chims and Lucky Animals, so that was actually kind of cool. I like the battle areas to kind of keep battles from turning into a run after the enemy for 20 billion years thing, which is good. I felt the power progression curve was amazeballs and was worthy of a triple positive. I also gave the difficulty curve a positive. The trade system is actually pretty freaking awesome, so that was a triple positive. I actually kind of liked Skaith versus Mephora. I felt that was the best Avatar fight in the game, despite how little that is saying. And then fighting Triage's normal form was actually kind of a fun fight. 24 positives in general. Ouch, is all I gotta say to that. Oh, it's negative 9. Sorry, I've been saying net negative 10 because it was originally negative 10. But no, it's net negative 9. My apologies. Because I added a positive. But yeah, let's get into the negatives. So, even for a PS2 game, and especially this one, which is a late PS2 game, the lack of options is just frankly inexcusable. So 2 negatives there. There are some PS2 games that I would give a triple negative for lack of options, mostly because yeah. Hell, even Final Fantasy X had some decent options, for God's sakes. So the flinching and the knockback were both double negatives, because God, I fucking hated the core combat in this thing. Oh yeah, I also gave a negative for the core combat. Oof. Hated it all. Hated it all. It was not fun. Not helped by the fact that the audio spam is through the goddamn roof. It is through the goddamn roof in Volume 2, but I feel like Volume 2 was just better designed in that regard. Funny enough. I hate the inventory mimicking that of an MMO. You have to give your party members the equipment you want them to equip. Really? Oof, is all I gotta say to that. Also, I feel that this is a very clunky interface. Hey, look, I know it was originally on the PS2, But that kind of makes it worse because I've played PS1 games with much better interfaces than this. Yes, even Legend of Dragoon is a better interface than this, my opinion. The alchemy system is interesting, but far too limited for my liking. You have no control over the targeting, and it is unruly as fuck. I also really don't like the arena. You know, if I liked the core combat, I would actually like the arena, but I don't, so it isn't very good. Which is funny, because if you make it an optional mode and just make the tournament arc a literal, well, yes, I want to fight the next round kind of thing, like it is in Volume 2, I probably would have been a lot more positively inclined to it. Not a fan of how the game handles itemization. I feel it is downright awful and not rewarding at all, which is hilarious because Volume 2 actually might get a positive for itemization. I'm not joking. Speaking of negatives that are not going to appear in Volume 2, grind. I honestly don't feel there is any real grind. I actually thought about it and I was like, you know what? No. I mean, yes, there is that big jump in levels, but at the same time, actually, no. You know, there's not, you don't really have to grind. I mean, it helps, but you don't really have to, which is nice. But in Volume 1, I felt like there was some pretty bad grind. Gameplay pacing was pretty bad. I gave a triple negative to that. The constant go check your emails for story progress later in the game was just irritating. It's the go talk to Lilith from Borderlands 3 again. Ugh. Oh, and then there's avatar battles. Oh god. So I gave the avatar battles in general a triple negative. Clunky controls, wonky as fuck hit detection, and Point Break is just aggravating. In fact, I actually gave Point Break its own separate negative. And then the tutorial always popping, and the tutorial constantly popping up also warranted a separate negative. Probably just going to mean 2 negatives for, at most, for avatar battles in the sequel, because in the sequel they're actually decent. 28 presentation negatives. Ugh, hate it. I don't like the intro from a gameplay perspective. I thought it was kind of crap. I hate Delta Lazy Advice's Exile and its clone, Delta Pulsating Unlimited Metal Doll. Teleport maze and useless text constantly making you stop dead in your tracks. Which means Naviru decided to take a page out of, I guess you could say Naviru took a page out of Antares' book, and that's not a book that he should have pulled from. Then there's the final Avatar battle, which I felt like it honestly could go to hell. Hell, I felt it was constantly bullcrap and just wasted my goddamn time. And I also didn't like the outro in the slightest, as it's not really clear where the outro starts, really, and you can either have it be a stupidly short outro or a stupidly long outro, depending, you know. But that is .hack.GU Volume 1. Black Licorice. You might have noticed the weirdness of the thumbnail on this one. I haven't made it from my perspective, but I am going to go ahead and just pull the trigger. I'm going to get myself a different image for Volume 1, and I'm just going to do the whole contrast thing like I do for rant views, except I've got to wait to do that. All the same, though, I'm going to chop this off. Volume 1 of .hack.GU. Play this one in cheat mode. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Play the HD version, crank the cheats, curb stomp this fucker. You do sadly need Volume 1 for Volumes 2 and 3 to make more sense. And that's why I say, seriously, crank the cheats and go. Because cheat mode is legitimately awesome. But regardless, now it's time to move on to Volume 2. Until next time, Blue Wolf Alex and Lore Walkers, signing out. Have a good one. Laters. How much? No, okay.